Om Sthapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Sthapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avadara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namah Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate, who came to establish religion universal. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been discussing Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Today's topic I have chosen: Spiritualizing Everyday Life through Karma Yoga. All the people are in one way or other engaged in some kind of karma. Even thinking is also a karma. So whatever we do through the senses, they are all actions done through the senses. But then there is a way how to spiritualize all our actions in order to have real contentment, peacefulness and happiness. Sri Ramakrishna has given most valuable instructions regarding Karma Yoga. He has also said that Karma Yoga is rather difficult because a person who is not well formatted in spiritual ways may turn out to be egoistic, may hanker after name, fame, power, position, etc. So that danger is there. So karma actions, when not done properly, they bind a person, they bring suffering. But actions done in a proper way, they release him from bondage. They lead him towards the realization of the truth. Lord Krishna also has dealt with this subject Karma Yoga in Bhagavad Gita, and Swami Vivekananda also has given talks on Karma Yoga. They are all very uplifting. Only we should read them, apply them in our life. Sri Ramakrishna has said in the Gospel, what is Karma Yoga? He said, work with detachment is Karma Yoga. He also has said, Karma Yoga is to surrender to God fruits of all actions. Don't desire anything in return of what you do. So when you are expecting or hankering after the results of your actions, they bind you. They won't release you from bondage. If you don't really aspire for results of the actions, then the same actions will pave the way for realization of the truth. So, in the first place, you have to be determined whether you want spiritual life or not. If you want worldly life, then no teachings are required. Whatever way you live, automatically you become more and more worldly. No teaching is necessary, no temple is necessary, nothing is required. Again, Sri Ramakrishna says, the aim of Karma Yoga is to fix one's mind on God by means of work. If a householder performs his duties in the world in a spirit of detachment, surrendering the results to God and with devotion to God in his heart, he too may be said to practice Karma Yoga. When a person does his duty in a responsible way and performs it with utmost attention and devotion, that paves the way for spiritual realization. In fact, there is a story told by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel that once there was a hermit. Because of his austerities, in course of time, he developed siddhi and suddenly became aware of the occult power he got. So, one day, one elephant was going on the path and he simply said, "Let it die." Immediately it died. So immediately he became aware of his power. Well, I have become a yogi. Like that he thought. Then he went to one of the homes for taking bhiksha. He called out the housekeeper to give him some food. But the lady in the house was engaged in her duty towards her husband. So she took some time to come. But this hermit was very impatient. Moreover, he got that siddhi, so he had become egoistic also. I have got that power. The tendency of the power is to use it, good or bad. Keep on using it. That's the tendency. And 2-3 times he shouted. Then the lady serving her husband, she replied, "Well, I am not the elephant whom you have killed by your power." And he was amazed how that lady would come to know about his acquiring that power. He was totally surprised. Then the lady came in her own time and offered him bhiksha. And then told him further, "Look, I was engaged in my duty towards my husband. So duty I have to do first. Then everything comes next." If you want to know more about the spiritual wisdom, in certain place there is Dharma Vyadha, is called, a hunter, a butcher. He will go and meet him. You will be enlightened little more. He was shocked. Of all the persons to take lessons from the butcher. Anyway, he went. He went to the place and again he began to call him, and he was serving his parents, old parents. And then when he came out, he spoke words of wisdom. The famous story, it comes in Mahabharata. That means a person who concentratedly, devotedly does his duty gets the result even without asking for it. If you ask for results, you don't know whether your asking is good or not. Leave it to God. He will give the best, what is best for you, that He will give. So, the duty aspect, if a person does the duty, it not only purifies the heart, it paves the way for spiritual illumination. So Sri Ramakrishna said, he too may be said to practice karma yoga. Further, if a person performs worship, japa, and other forms of devotion, surrendering the results to God, he may be said to practice karma yoga. Attachment of God alone is the aim of karma yoga. If you really want to be attached to God. So the bad effect of attachment will go. Attachment which was causing sufferings would pave the way for liberation. Turn the attachment towards God. Be attached to God. Be devoted to God. Again Sri Ramakrishna says, performing acts of worship, pilgrimage and service to living beings, following Guru's instruction is karma yoga. So it has been well defined, and Sri Ramakrishna also has mentioned that it is rather difficult in Kali Yuga. And Sri Ramakrishna suggests in Kali Yuga, Bhakti Yoga is most suitable. Well, people mostly are Rajasic temperament. They want to do something. So, we need to know different aspects of Karma Yoga so that we can spiritualize our day-to-day life. There are three kinds of Karma Yoga, three different methods of selfless work. It is essential to distinguish between them. In order to do so, we may use the phrases given by Swami Vivekananda in his talks. Swami Vivekananda has given excellent discourse on Karma Yoga. There, Swamiji says, three categories of Karma Yoga. One category you may call work for work's sake. Second one, work as worship. And third, work with detachment. These will serve as aphorisms of the central element in each approach and as useful labels for reference. Doing work for work's sake is the first kind of Karma Yoga. Work done not for ego gratification, nor for the welfare of others, but simply for its own sake and for the bliss and freedom that derive from motiveless action is called work for work's sake. This yoga requires no belief even in God and depends on no system of philosophy. The constant goal and immediate incentive of the practitioner is to escape from the bondage of desire. He is not searching for God or truth, but just simple freedom of the soul from the vicious circle of karma. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Asaktam Kuru Karma. Do work with non-attachment. The fundamental practice is to eradicate selfish desire by the power of will and the exercise of concentration on the work at hand. The primary motivation for all human activity is desire. And yet it is the tragedy of human life that work done under the compulsion of desire generates suffering. It is not only in the consequences of such work that the suffering lies, but in the selfish action itself. The word desire signifies a condition of want, tension, emptiness, and longing for fulfillment. As the number and intensity of desires increase, one's happiness decreases in direct proportion. The more the desires you have, the less you are happy. The generality of men believe that peace and fulfillment come through the satisfaction of desires, but this can never be. The passions are not satisfied by gratification, but only increase the more, like a fire which burns brighter when clarified butter is poured upon it. The Karma Yogi, recognizing that selfish desire creates suffering and can never be alleviated by enjoyment, resolves to renounce it once and for all. Work for work's sake refers to those activities done without desire for the results. How does one go about doing such work? What's the method of practice? The first injunction is avoid situations which create, awaken, or foster the growth of selfish wants. We have to constantly avoid being motivated by personal inclination, desire, or passion. All this requires an effort of will. In other forms of Karma Yoga, the practitioner would invoke the thought of God or self to help him rise above desire systems. But the pure Karma Yogi, not relying on either of these concepts, can only exercise his willpower. He has to stop short as soon as he becomes conscious of selfish motivation, retrace his steps and begin all over again He must force himself to quit anticipating the results. In so doing, he suffocates the breathing action of desires and maintains a pure, selfless, motiveless state of mind. The use of the willpower as a primary tool is one of the distinguishing features of work for work's sake. The pure karma yogi relies not on God's grace or on any power outside himself, but only on his own self-effort and self-resolve. In addition to the negative practice of preventing the desires from arising and translating themselves into overt behavior, the worker for work's sake engages in a more positive effort, the studied development of mental concentration. The exercise of concentration or paying attention to the work at hand is a very effective means of cultivating desirelessness. In the long run, the man of concentration becomes desireless, for desires no longer have any base of dissatisfaction on which to operate. When the mind becomes unified and the will one-pointed, a tremendous searchlight of concentration is brought to bear on the matters of immediate concern. The smallest task becomes illumined. One finds that the most routine duty is interesting, nay, fascinating, and fully rewarding. Attention is energy, and the more energy we put into a thing, the more we get out of it. Paying full attention enables one to derive the fullest benefit as a consequence. Dissatisfaction with the present is removed and desires decrease. One finds full contentment in simply doing one's dharma. One doesn't need anything else. Work for work's sake, in its teaching of concentration as a primary means, aligns very well with the Buddhist practice of right mindfulness or meditation in action. It is simply the practice of being here now, of living in the present moment with the fullest awareness. The majority of our mental life today is filled with empty intellectualism, hopes and expectations, dreams of the future, and fond reminiscences of the past. Living thus in a world of imagination, we are unmindful of the immediate reality before us and go through life as one asleep. The practice of right mindfulness requires one to live in the present and concentrate fully on the current events of life. The person who is able to do so is a saint or sage. He resembles the ordinary man in his outward activities, but differs radically in his state of mind. This much is stated in a dialogue from the Zen tradition. A distinguished teacher was once asked, "Sir, do you ever make any effort to get disciplined in the truth?" "Yes, I do," he said. "How do you exercise yourself?" The saint answered, "When I am hungry, I eat. When tired, I sleep." Question: But this is what everybody does. Can they be said to be exercising themselves in the same way as you do? No. Why not? The saint answers, because when they eat, they do not eat, but are thinking of various other things, thereby allowing their minds to wander and become disturbed. When they sleep, they do not sleep, but dream 1,000 dreams. That's why they are not like myself. The wise man who lives in the present moment, concentrating fully on the work at hand, and never acting under the compulsion of selfish desire, enjoys spiritual freedom. He lives as a master and not as a slave. He does his work for work's sake, his duty for duty's sake, and thus exemplifies the highest ideal of Karma Yoga. The second variety of Karma Yoga, the second type of Karma Yoga, is called work as worship. It is suitable primarily for a person of devotional temperament, for it describes the manner in which a devotee of the personal God does his daily duties. The devotee places himself in the role of the servant and offers up all the actions of body, speech and mind to the divine. He dedicates himself to doing God's work. The life's goal of the worshipper is union with the personal God. His motivation for work is a longing for God realization. By consecrating all of his life's activities, the devout karma yogi effaces the small selfish ego and grows in divine love. For those who believe in and feel devotion for some chosen ideal of God, doing work as worship is the best way to spiritualize everyday life. The ritualistic worship of God has been carried on through millennia. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he is the one to teach that worship should not be confined to the church or temple's shrine, but must be extended to include all activities. Every duty of our daily life can be transformed into an act of worship. Any act of karma can be consecrated and laid at the feet of the Lord. The essential ingredient in work as worship is the attitude of the workman. He must cultivate the feeling of self-surrender in all that he does. He must come to regard himself as an instrument or servant of God. The primary tool in generating this attitude is the offertory prayer. Offertory prayer may take simple or elaborate forms, but it is a simple sentence of dedication, repeated with religious fervor, that is the most effective. Offertory prayer is not the same as japa or the repetition of God's name. The purpose of the prayer is not to concentrate the mind on God, but rather to evoke an attitude of self-sacrifice. Our intention is not simply to think of God. This is the purpose of meditation, not work. We want rather to concentrate on the work, to purify our motive and dedicate each phase of the activity to God. Work as worship revolves around the ideal of the personal God. This ideal may be conceived of as dwelling within, in the heart of our hearts, or as appearing outside in the form of men and women everywhere. The idea of God is in heaven, or the mystical Christ consciousness within, will be appreciated by all devotees, but the other God, man, is often ignored. The Indian philosophy of monism alone provides the rationale for identifying man with God and enables one to equate the service of man with the highest spiritual worship. As soon as one recognizes man as God, there will be a definite natural and spontaneous inclination to render personal service. We do so in whatever way the occasion demands. The hungry man should be provided with food, the ignorant man with education, the spiritual seeker with religious teaching. Everyone can be served at one level or another. Giving directions to a tourist or even a kind smile to a despondent friend can be a form of worship. This idea of man worship is an entirely new thing. Swami Vivekananda says, Atmano mokshartham jagadhitaya cha. For the realization of the self, serve the humanity. We have to distinguish it carefully from the humanitarian service performed by the bhikshus of the Buddhist period or the Roman Catholic nuns of the Middle Ages. In their outward forms, humanitarian service and worship of God through the service of man appear to be the same. The humanitarian and the karma yogi do similar work, but there is world of difference between charity and worship. We have to be careful not to underestimate the high idealism of karma yoga. The third kind of karma yoga is called work with detachment. This paradigm appeals mostly to the temperament of the jnani, one whose life is strongly influenced by the Dvaita Vedanta or Sankhya philosophy. He wants to practice right knowledge here and now. Hence he takes to karma yoga, not as a servant of God, but with the predominant idea of work with detachment. This approach can be understood from the fact that both Advaita and Sankhya teach the separateness and aloofness of the inner soul from all activity. Work with detachment aligns very well with Jnana Yoga. The Purusha, the self of man, is absolutely different from Prakriti or phenomenal nature. Yet it is a fundamental tragedy of man that he has forgotten his true self and become identified with natural objects. These objects include not only material possessions in the ordinary sense of the term, but body, mind as well. Consider the condition of an avid moviegoer who once inside the theater quickly falls under the fascination of the light show before him. Unconsciously drawn into the film's drama, he loses his individuality, as it were. He identifies with the characters on the screen, empathizes with their joy and sorrow, and rises and falls with their success and failure. He has lost his own self-consciousness and hence shares the fate of the character with whom he identifies. The situation with the ordinary man is exactly the same. He forgets his own true nature, the pure actionless witness consciousness, and identifies with the play of the body and mind under the false premise that he is a psychophysical being. He extends his self-identity ever further outward to embrace the sense objects of the external world. Let us picture a man, a great sage, who abides in his true self and remains at one with the conscious principle. How does he live? How does he work in the world? He identifies himself with the spirit and knows that he is not really the doer, that it is Prakriti that works all changes. Being disidentified with the body and mind, he remains balanced in pleasure and pain, loss and gain. In general, he is calm, collected and serene. His natural tendency is to remain quiet and simply abide in the self. When he does undertake some form of activity, he does so as a detached witness. The fundamental problem of man is one of self-forgetfulness. Self-forgetfulness means suffering. Self-remembrance, on the other hand, awakens divine joy and bestows spiritual freedom. The most effective means of keeping a constant recall of the higher self, the detached witness of all action, is through the practice of affirmation. To the extent that I can affirm my own true self and retain the conviction that I am the self, I will be able to remain detached even in the midst of the briar patch of karma. A person can devise his own statements of affirmation, or he can collect strong scriptural passages that voice this idea. The essential practice is to keep aware of one's true nature and not allow contrary thoughts to arise. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, the great sage of Tiruvannamalai in India, he says, Brahmin may play various parts in a drama, yet the thought that he is a Brahmin does not leave his mind. Similarly, when one is engaged in various empirical acts, there should be the firm conviction, I am the self, without allowing the false idea, I am the body, to arise. If the mind should stray away from its state, then immediately one should inquire, oh, we are not the body and mind, who are we? We are the self. Thus one should establish the mind in that pure state. At first, an affirmation of detachment may appear to be mere words and purely an intellectual exercise, but it calls for a very definite effective response. It has a dramatic impact on human feelings. Attachment seems to be an emotional bond characterized by attraction or aversion for this or that thing. One may think, therefore, that mere words will be ineffective in removing it. But feeling and sentiment are only a derivative function of words, that is, of thoughts and ideas. By changing our sentences and remodeling our belief systems, the whole pattern of feeling changes as well. In retrospect, then, these are the three different methods of spiritualizing everyday life. Each one appeals to a particular psychological type and evokes a different background ideology. The worker for work's sake is a non-religious, non-philosophical person who clearly perceives the bond slavery of selfish action and rebels against it. The life's goal of such a person is freedom from the compulsion of desire. His tools of practice are the strengthened will and the power of concentration. The man who does work as worship is primarily a devotee. His life's goal is to render selfless service to his chosen ideal, to grow in divine love through self-sacrifice. His main concern in all activities is the cultivation of the spirit of dedication through the offertory prayer. The Jnani is the third type. His goal is self-knowledge, and his primary discipline is to break its all attachments and remain as a witness of actions. His most useful means of retaining self-knowledge is the affirmation of detachment. It is important to distinguish these three methods of Karma Yoga. For though one should utilize all three avenues of approach for the sake of harmonious development, we must beware of the confused mixing of attitudes. We have to be careful not to get our wires crossed. While practicing work for work's sake, for instance, one should not bring in the attitude of the worshipper. While doing work as worship, one should not take the standpoint of a philosopher. The simultaneous mixing of different approaches results simply in a loss of outward efficiency and inner spiritual benefit. If one were to ask which one of these attitudes is best suited to aspirants in general, then we must be emphatic in saying that no one method occupies that status. The temperament and disposition of men differ, and we may expect to find an equal distribution of fitness for any one of these practices. We hold them all on a par, therefore, and present them as such in any impartial discussion of the subject. The universal man, the ideal for this age, practices all three kinds of Karma Yoga. Ordinary spiritual seekers identify one form of Karma Yoga as their special path and figure that the other ways are unsuitable to their temperament. This is unfortunate, as it indicates a one-sided development. The wise man makes use of all three approaches in his effort to spiritualize everyday life. To limit oneself to one form of Karma Yoga and dismiss the others as disagreeable is to throw away tools that could expedite one's progress. The fact is that one passes through differing moods during the course of time. One day the devotional mood may be dominant and work as worship comes easily and yields the best results. On another day, however, that mood may change. One finds oneself without devotional feelings and inclined toward analytical reason. On that occasion, we need not suspend our sadhana, but can assume the role of the Jnani and do work with detachment. The three kinds of spiritual work are complementary and mutually supportive. Optimum growth requires that we incorporate all the methods into our transmission and shift smoothly from one gear to another as the traffic requires. Only then will we come to exemplify the highest ideal of Karma Yoga. So, there's a definite way of doing things, utilizing our senses, organizing the thoughts, and doing self-effort in a systematic way. Chapter 47, the Master's training of his devotees, Master's training of his disciples. Monday, October 26, 1885. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning when M arrived at the Shampukur house on his way to Dr. Sarkar to report the Master's condition. Dr. Sarkar had declared the illness incurable. His words cast gloom over the minds of the Master's devotees and disciples. With unflagging devotion and zeal, they nurtured the patient, their teacher, guide, philosopher, and friend. A band of young disciples, led by Narendra, was preparing to renounce the world and dedicate their lives to the realization of God and the service of humanity. People flocked to the Master day and night. In spite of the excruciating pain in his throat, he welcomed them all with a cheerful face. There seemed to be no limit to his solicitude for their welfare. His face beamed as he talked to them about God. Dr. Sarkar, seeing that conversation aggravated the illness, forbade him to talk to people. "You must not talk to others," the physician had said to the Master, "but You may make an exception in my case, said Karistari. The doctor used to spend 6 or 7 hours in Sri Ramakrishna's company, drinking in every word that fell from his lips. Master said, I am feeling much relieved. I am very well today. Is it because of the medicine? Then why shouldn't I continue it? Yam said, I am going to the doctor. I shall tell him everything. He will advise what is best. Master said, I have not seen Purna for 2 or 3 days. I am worried about him. Yam said to Kali, why don't you see Purna and ask him to come? Kali said, I shall go immediately. Master said to Yam, the doctor's son is a nice boy. Please ask him to come. Yam arrived at Dr. Sarkar's house and found him with 2 or 3 friends. Doctor said to Yam, I was talking about you just a minute ago. You said you would come at 10. I have been waiting for you an hour and a half. Your delay has made me worry about Sri Ramakrishna. To a friend, he said, please sing that song. The friend sang, proclaim the glory of God's name as long as life remains in you. The dazzling splendor of His radiance floods the universe. Like nectar streams His boundless love, filling the hearts of men with joy. The very thought of His compassion sends a thrill through every limb. How can one fittingly describe Him? Through His abounding grace, the bitter sorrows of this life are all forgotten instantly. On every side, on land below, in sky above, beneath the seas, in every region of this earth, men seek Him tirelessly, and as they seek Him, ever ask, where is His limit? Where is His end? True wisdom's dwelling place is He, the elixir of eternal life, the sleepless, ever wakeful eye, the pure and stainless one. The vision of His face removes all trace of sorrow from our hearts. Let us stop here. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. Our name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of Thyself, O Self, down deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that baths my very selves. Various are Thy names, O Lord, in each and every name Thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of Thy name. So vast is Thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to Thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to Thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth retinue. The playthings of lust are the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath Thy feet. How I long for the day when an instant separation from Thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns where there is desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O Thou who stillest the hearts of Thy devotees, do with me what Thou wilt, for Thou art my heart's beloved, Thou and Thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery, may the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be freed from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good be done to all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding Thee of all sacred works, be satisfied, for He being pleased, The whole universe becomes pleased, he being satisfied. The whole universe feels satisfied.